Oh, I'm going to use my... Ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts. Okay, for those online, we are reconvening. Welcome back, everybody. I am aware that I missed a couple of agenda items on a procedural basis. So item 1.5, items not on the agenda. Are there any items not on the agenda? There being none.
Sorry.
I
just wondered if it was appropriate just to point out the about the new format of the agenda. Is that an appropriate point just to talk to for 30 seconds about it?
You're welcome. Yep.
Very much supportive of it. Love the fact that we've got English and Te Reo, and the other point is that I like how we've got the sections needing decisions up near the top, so that if someone does have to leave for medical or personal things, and that they know that they've been there for the decision making part of it. So I would just like to support and acknowledge the mahi that's gone into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rodley. I'm sure that's very much appreciated. I like it too. So, are you hearing this?
Yeah.
Well done. Thank you. All right. Conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest to be declared? Councillor Grant.
I just want to raise something just so everybody is clear. In regard to item 2.8, obviously, as was seen this morning, my wife is the chair of the Mercury Bay Business Association. I have considered this personally. I don't believe I'm conflicted, but I am happy to take a lead from others if they feel that I am. I will step back from it. Otherwise, I'm very interested in the topic generally for the whole district, and very keen to participate if everybody's comfortable with that.
Okay, I'm going to open this up for any further comments or discussion. Councillor Rodley.
Would I be making a comment on what Councillor?
Yes, please.
Grant? Oh, okay. So I haven't got a specific comment on that, but I want to declare a similar thing for another thing afterwards.
Okay.
After we talked about that one.
Yeah. Okay. So any discussion on Councillor Grant's proposal that he's declared a conflict of, or I'm not going to say a conflict of interest, but declared an interest because his wife is chair, but would like to participate in the discussion on a district-wide basis. So any discussion on that? So Councillor Walker, please, and then Councillor Rebel.
Yes, my discussion's around the fact that he actually has declared it, and it's around the table, and he's in a community where people get involved with things. I don't think he's on the committee in any way, so he has stands aside like we all do in a community. So I support his offering to step aside, but support him being able to get involved.
Thank you, Councillor Walker.
So I would endorse Councillor Walker's comments.
Thank you, Councillor Rebel.
Well,
sorry, Councillor Morrissey,
okay.
And then Councillor Gary Percival, please. John, do you want to turn your... And then Councillor Gottlieb. So,
John, it's a very subjective thing, and it's your decision at the end of the day. And if you're comfortable with it, that's fine. I would just say sometimes it's the perception that counts, and while I had no problem with you sitting around the table before when the discussion was happening, I would just say maybe it would be better not to partake in the direct conversation. But that, of course, is at the end of the day up to you.
Well, what made me smile is...
sorry.
Yeah, I thought I was next.
Yep.
What made me smile was his wife doesn't have a decision on it. She doesn't know what she supports. So I really just don't know. I don't know what he's supporting something he doesn't know what he's supporting.
Good point. Peter? Oh, you've already... Okay. And Rekha, please.
Yes, so I just realised that I'm a paid up member of the Mercury Bay Business Association. Um,
You're just a member.
I'm just declaring that
Okay, thank you.
for the room. So, yeah, I'm not sure if that leaves me in a similar, are you?
Yes, I am both a paid-up member of the Mercury Bay Business Association, and I'm a paid-up member of the Thames Business Association as well. So,
I too am a paid up member of the Thames Business Association.
Should we go from the back door? Should we say, is anyone not a paid?
30 seconds.
I think it might be helpful. Thank you. All right. So
Thanks.
before we come to that item, thank you for raising it.
Oh,
Martin, thank you.
So are we finished with councillor grants?
You're not going to make it
I-
worse. are you?
I have received an invoice from the TVA, but I haven't as yet paid it. No, but my actual, I just wanted to raise awareness that I, along with a councillor from Hauraki District Council, have been on a little strategic working group working with the Coromandel Heritage Trust to come up with some ways forward for that organisation to continue into the future. But I have no pecuniary interest in that trust.
Thank you. Okay, so noted, we've asked staff to, Aileen has asked the team to look at getting some legal advice before we get to that item.
Just a quick thought, Martin would be very helpful for us if he's looked at options and things he could, because it's a bit of a difficult situation, that one.
Can we reserve judgment on that till we hear what he has to say? No disrespect, councillor Rodley, councillor Walker.
Yeah,
please.
well, and I'm a trustee on Creative Coromandel and would stand aside for any discussion because I'm on the committee. But we had a policy that I thought was that, and I know the community boards, that if you were in a committee or at that level where decision making, but only a member, that was fine. You're allowed to vote, but if you're on a committee, that was considered to be a conflict of interest.
Thank you, councillor Walker. Okay. I think it's good to have that discussion out there. And as councillor Morrissey says, sometimes it's a matter of perception, but the reality is that in a small community, we're all going to be involved one way or another. I feel like I'm missing out here because I'm not a member of, so maybe I need to start signing up more. Okay, thank you. We are going to move to item 1.7, which is external committee minutes for receiving. That's just the Waikato Civil Defence. Okay, so can I get okay, on this one, no member of council was actually in attendance at this meeting. So what we'll do is we will receive the minutes from the Waikato Civil Defence Emergency Management Group, and that's all we need to do. So can I get a mover and a seconder, please, to receive the minutes? This is items 1 and 2 of 1.7. Councillor Grant, Councillor Rodley seconding. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 1.8, minutes for confirmation. We're going to cover items 1 and 2, which is receiving the minutes for community board and committee meetings. And all we're doing here is receiving the minutes from these meetings. It should be noted that we will not be approving the minutes from Thames Community Board at this stage because there's more work that needs to be done on that. So all we're doing is receiving the minutes. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please, for receiving? Okay, Councillor Gary Percival, the seconder. Councillor Revel, all those in favour? Aye. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to go to item 3, approves the Mercury Bay Community Board recommendations. Have I got a mover and a seconder for item 3? Councillor Gary Percival, a seconder, please. Are we missing people here? Okay,
Yeah, we're missing Delhi and Gary's.
okay, Delhi we know about. Okay, so Rekha, we've got a seconder, please. Mercury Bay. Terry, all right, all those in favour? Thank you. Item 4, Tairua Pawanui Community Board recommendations from the meeting 27th of November. Terry Walker, move. Seconder, please. Okay, so this is item, yeah, Rekha? Okay. Item 4, all those in favour? Thank you. Any against? That's carried, thank you. Item 5, Whangamata Community Board meeting recommendations from 28th November. Can I get a mover? Terry Walker, seconder. Councillor Grant, all those in favour? Aye. Thanks. Against? That's carried, thank you. Colville Community Board, item 6. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Morrissey?
I'll move.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Rebel? No. All those in favour? Aye. Thank you. Item 7, Risk and Assurance Committee. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Grant, Councillor Walker, all those in favour? Aye. Thank you. And Thames Community Board, Thames Coromandel District Council meeting, item 8, 31st of October. Mover and a seconder, please. Don't rush. Councillor Rodley. I'll second it. All those in favour? Aye. Thank you. Okay. Item 2.1, adoption of audited annual report. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Walker, seconder.
Done.
All right, thank you. So we're moving to receive this. So I'm going to open it up to Hayden, thank you, and to Donna. All right.
Through the chair, we've had some minor changes since the risk and assurance meeting where we went through obviously the annual report in more detail. But apart from that, it's pretty much status quo. Just the main one was just changing where the breach in reporting deadline sat as per what Bruce Robinson recommended. So,
thank you. The minor changes, there's nothing that has affected our audit position?
no.
Nothing. All right. Okay. Okay. Anything further to add, Donna? Thank you.
Through the chair this morning, we received the signed audit report from Carl Vessels, our audit director. So we do have that all ready to go in as soon as the annual report's adopted.
Okay. All right. So we're adopting the annual report. We've already received it. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the report, please, and to delegate to Chief Executive under item 3? Councillor Revel, Councillor Grant, all those in favour? Aye. And against? That's carried. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Hayden. Well done. There's a lot of work went into this, I know, and the councillors really appreciate it. Okay. Thank you. All right. Item 2.2, Blackjack Road, Kuatunu speed limit zones. We'll ask Mo to join us for this. Okay, thank you. Mo, thank you. Okay, thank you. All right. So no, you do, because we've got people online who need to hear it, and it's also for recording purposes.
Can you hear me now?
That's fine, thank you.
Yeah, so the purpose of the report is it's nothing to do with the district-wide speed management plan. It's more about council proactively taking some steps to ensure the safety of the public coming to our region during the holiday season. So it's about introduction of some temporary speed limits in Kuatunu and Blackjack areas. There have been some community requests as well. So it's a temporary thing for the holiday season. So that's really the purpose of the report. But as the road controlling authority, the council needs to authorize that temporary change. And that's what the report is about. So I would take the report as read. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Mo. Okay, let me do this first. I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder, please, to receive the report. Councillor Grant?
Absolutely. Very happy to move.
Councillor Gary Percival to second it. And any discussion, please? Councillor Rodley first, and then Councillor Grant. Thank you.
Yes, just had a question. It talks about point number 6, which is on page 79. It says, as it's a temporary speed limit, it wouldn't be eligible for funding. As the proposals match the draft SMP, it's felt the cost of signage changes are minimal.
That's correct.
So I was a little bit, so why does it matter that the proposals match the council's SMP? Does that mean it's cheaper to do, you don't have to do other administrative work to then make the signage happening? And my second point was, it says it's minimal, but actually how much are the signs going to be?
Will be in the order of about $2,000 maximum.
Okay, so while I've got my microphone on, I was also just curious, and potentially I might have ratepayers in my area saying, have other parts of the peninsula been considered for these temporary things? Is this such a high risk and high danger? And I've read the report, that this is just being done.
Yes.
Yeah. Is everyone else all right that it's happening here but nowhere else?
So I'm going to go through the order because I'm absolutely certain that a couple of the points that Councillor Rodley has raised will be answered by input that we're going to have from other councillors. So we're going to go to Sean Grant, please, and then Rebecca.
Well, speaking in favour of this, the area concerned, I think probably most people would have been there, which is the area immediately as you enter the Blackjack Road at Kuatunu, where the Kuatunu shop and Luke's restaurant is. It is an area of very high pedestrian traffic and has been top of mind and one that has been of great concern to the local community for quite some time. You may recall that someone even took action, I think a year ago, to paint a zebra crossing on the road as a means of bringing this to the attention of everybody. And I know that on behalf of this community that they will be extremely appreciative of the fact that cars that are travelling, and it's all the traffic that goes through to Otama, Opito, it travels through this area, and you're talking about large vehicles with boats and high volumes. To travel through that area at 50 kilometres is just crazy. And I just congratulate everybody who's been involved in this initiative. I think it's one that will be greatly appreciated by everybody who's involved in it. And on behalf of that community, I want to pass my thanks that we've got to this stage that we're considering it at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Grant. We've got Councillor Gottlieb next, then Reka, then Daly, please.
We're talking of places. The meeting we had yesterday to do with the Tairua Paranui Community Board and staff, which I sent you an email. You slightly misunderstood what I was talking about. I did, yeah. But the point is that we came back to the point that it seemed the only really realistic thing we can do is keep the current reduced speed limit as it is. Is there any way that Graham's Creek on the state highway there, I think it is state highway, am I right, Dean? Yeah. If we can get that included, to retain, should I say, because I think it's meant to be disappearing, that reduction of speed, and that's where there's so many problems, and that's really about the only thing we can achieve there for safety.
Thank you, Councillor Gottlieb, and I think while I would point out that your question doesn't relate specifically to this resolution, what it does flag is some ongoing concerns about other parts of the district which are local roads. Mostly some are state highways, but they do need to be addressed by this council, and they will be, that where they've been noted. I'd like to keep this conversation to just this resolution, but it is an important one, and it has been noted. So thank you. Rekha, please.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what Councillor Grant has said. I think you covered everything. I mean, the size of the vehicles, we've got logging trucks coming through there. There's a development over in Opito, so we're seeing vehicles with diggers and houseloads materials and things like that coming through a very, very small coastal village with a current speed limit of 50 k's. So this has been a lot of work, and I just echo the thanks. And it would be great if we could get this achieved today. Do we need to say, I don't want to rewrite the recommendations on the fly, but do we need to include option 3 if that is in fact the way that we go? It doesn't sort of state it in the recommendations, it just lists a whole heap of locations.
So option 3 is part of the resolution?
It's just not stated implicitly in the resolution.
I thought it was. Yeah, page 76 on my list. So option 3 is part of the resolution.
But the 3 options were do nothing, permanent and temporary speed changes. And so in relation to the 3 options that we've been given, this resolution doesn't tell us whether these are permanent or temporary.
Yes. Thank you. I was kidding.
So on mine, option 3 is request chief executive to undertake works by 22nd of December. Am I looking at a different?
Do you mean in resolution? Sorry. Do you mean in resolution 2 agrees to the recommendations to temporarily lower the speed? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes. So when we go down to options in front of us, we've got the resolution or the recommendations. Well, I may just be reading the report, new report from that. But I thought we would need to say option 3 because that talks about it being a.
Do you want to put that up?
Through the chair, we have something that we could put up on the screen that might be helpful.
Thank you.
So I can see now where the confusion's coming in, because in the recommendations and the options, they're not quite lining up.
So through the chair, we've just added to resolution 2, approves option 3, undertake the provision of the temporary speed limit. Okay. And then it outlines the bullet points as per option 3.
Okay. Thank you. Delhi and then John Grant, please.
So I would just like to add to what my colleagues from Mercury Bay have had to say and emphasise the fact that there may well be other areas of the district with the same or similar kinds of issues which we can address when they're brought up. But this community has been lobbying for a very, very long time and very, very passionately to have this remedied and to have traffic coming from 3 directions, because the car park, the Blackjack Road and the road off the main highway, and in peak season people are buying ice creams, crossing the roads, and Luke's Kitchen, they are queuing up to 30 or 40 people, half on the footpath, half off the footpath. Every time I go out there when it's busy, my heart is in my mouth. It's the most horrendous situation. So as with my colleagues, I'd like to strongly recommend that we pass this today.
Thank you, Delhi.
Thank
Terry,
you.
did you have a, oh, sorry, I've got Terry and then John, please.
Yes, I support the controlling of what I call traffic calming. We've also done some work around ours with Whakakotai and some areas while the busy road is through Whangamata, and they've done the 2 places there. And in Beverly Terrace this year, which is a street without footpaths, but everybody parks on the berms, they're going to drop the speed limit there from 50 to 30k over the summer period to try and get some traffic calming. So I really support these kind of events to make life safe when we've got the communities coming home, visitors.
Thank you, Councillor Walker.
And I was just really procedurally saying that as the mover of this, I support the amended motion that was displayed on the screen. But I would also like to add that I think this acknowledges a trend which we have been seeing for some time now, where there has been quite a number of speed limit changes, and particularly a lot around the Thames Coast Road, particularly. And I think all of these have been seen as being very sensible and appropriate. I think even around Mercury Bay, we've seen a number of temporary ones until they actually came through as being permanent changes. So it's overall, this is the right move for this community.
Thank you, Councillor Grant. Thank you. So in sitting on the Regional Land Transport Committee, one of the things that comes through quite clearly when it comes to safety is there is a waka kotahi process where historically sometimes they've waited until somebody gets hurt before they react. This is our opportunity to look at a situation, clearly identify that there's a safety issue here, get in front of it before anyone gets hurt. So I applaud the move, and thank you, Mo, for taking the initiative on this. So Councillor Rodley, and we'll make that the last one, please.
Yeah, and I absolutely support the reduction in this area, and I would welcome the chance for it to happen in other areas. And I do feel that I know the roading team's had a lot on, and the process is extremely convoluted and complicated around these draft speed proposals and things. But yeah, I would just really like some in the new year to have some clarification around when the rest of the draft speed plan might be instigated. I realise that a new government has said they're going to reverse everything that the previous government's done, but yeah, I do think it would be good to get some clarity about when this can happen in other areas, but absolutely support this proposal.
Thank you, Councillor Rodley. So we have the motion, we have a mover and a seconder. I'm going to put the motion, please. All those in favour? Aye. Those against? That is carried. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mo, and thanks to Ed in his absence. Appreciate
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Glasses. Okay. Okay. Next item is 2.3, adoption of amended significance and engagement policy. Okay. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please, to receive the report?
Moved.
Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Connell, thank you. Welcome, Leslie. Welcome, Sian. Sian, could you just push your button, please? Just make sure that we capture you.
Getting myself sorted.
We're all about the capturing here. Okay. So I'm going to assume that we take the report as read and open this up to Leslie to add anything that needs to be added. Are you happy to do that?
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have much to add. The report is as read. We've received 33 submissions to our draft significance and engagement policy. 6 were in support, 27 opposed. Of those 27, 10 were basically reinforcing one of the other submissions. And we have carefully considered that feedback and provide you, we've made three with major changes to the draft and also some minor corrections to 4 other sections. It's all laid out in the report. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Leslie. Sian, did you have anything you wanted to add? Or?
No, thank you, Your Worship. Happy to answer any questions.
So we'll open it up for discussion. Councillor Morrissey.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just you've done a great job, ladies. Thank you very much. I was just wondering, since you started this little job, the council decided to consider with all its decisions future generations, the impact on future generations. And I'm just wondering on page 96, under 6.3.2, the criteria for assessing significance, if we shouldn't have a bullet point in there that goes something along the lines of impact on current and future generations as being something of significance that we should consider. It just keeps it in the forefront of our minds. And I think it's good if we can incorporate it in all our policies.
Very, very relevant and important point. Thank you, Councillor Morrissey. So the question would be, in terms of the wording of the policy, what is the, sorry, I'm going to backtrack a little bit here because I've got some thoughts which I will hold off until I've heard from the other councillors. Is there any other discussion? Councillor Walker.
Yes, thank you very much for the work you've done on this. This was I found a really engaging project from the people. They were really interested in this. And sorry, I haven't actually read it in detail because I was a bit busy yesterday, but the amendments made, can you give us an indication of what you've changed from the existing policy?
Sure. Shall, would you like to go into the detail?
Sure.
Maybe take you page by page where we've noted it in the report. So I think starting at page 91.
Yep. So there's, sorry, excuse me. There's just 3 parts of the policy, that the draft version that was published for the consultation. There's just 3 changes to that we're recommending in response to the feedback that we received from the general public. So the first one is on page...
Paragraph 6.3.1.
Apologies. Is to change the purpose provision to reflect what is actually in the Act. So there was some confusion that came through in the feedback that we received, that we'd slightly tweaked, we'd summarised it and paraphrased it, and that appeared to cause some confusion. So what we're recommending is we just copy and paste from what the legislation says on that one. The second one is on page 9, I have it in 90, is in relation to matters on which the councils will not engage, was the heading of the policy. So 90, I think I might have different page numbers, apologies. On page 90, 89 of the agenda packet is what I'm looking at. Yeah. So the section of the policy is section 8 of the policy, which is headed up, when will the council not engage. So the feedback we received there, again, all the people that commented on this particular section raised a concern with one of the bullet points that was in the draft policy, and said that they didn't think that was a good reason for the council to not engage. Staff agree with that, and are recommending that bullet point be removed in response to that feedback. The third one is in relation to the first appendix to the policy. So that is covered on across a couple of pages of the report. Scrolling too quickly. The key part of it is at the top of page 91. So this is appendix. So just again, just to perhaps just refresh the content that's in the report there that explains what the purpose of the appendix is. It's merely just to give some examples to assist people in understanding what the substantive part of the policy says in terms of the criteria for assessing significance. So the appendix is really just to give you an idea of sort of the sorts of things you might come up with. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah.
Give a clear indication of what they can go, what they can't go, because that was one of the real outcomes from the discussions I had.
Yes, yeah. So again, the feedback we received indicated that perhaps it didn't quite serve the purpose that was originally intended. So we've changed a reasonable amount in terms of the words that are in it, but substantially still trying to say the same thing, but just more clearly. So cut down some of the detail out of it because it was a bit repetitive and therefore could have led to some confusion. Change the headings so that the headings are a lot clearer as to what the actual appendix is attempting to, to tell you about and give you examples of. And also, again, the feedback highlighted that there were a couple of examples in there, particularly in relation to the one that's highlighted in the report, referring to the long-term plan as being a matter of high significance, when the policy itself actually already says that that will be a matter of high significance. So there was some inconsistency between what was in the appendix and what was in the substantive part of the policy. So again, we've made those changes to just make it so that it really does actually do its job.
And
so those
those
are the
examples,
three things in response to the feedback.
Those examples on page 91 of the bullet points that you made.
Yes, correct.
Right.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. But the key changes are in those bullet points.
Thank you.
Yeah. I thought it didn't need to go through word by word. So those are the changes in response to the feedback. Those three.
Thank you.
Sorry for the page numbering confusion.
Have I got a list, Harry? Any further discussion?
Just one quick one. Sorry, when will this go out? Will this go out as part of the consultation, or what will happen now with this?
So the report today is for the adoption of the policy. And the recommendation is that it comes into effect next week, which will just allow us time to put it up on the website, inform all the people that provided feedback that the decision has been made, etc. All that administrative sort of stuff. So in reality, we probably won't actually start using the policy until sometime in the new year, when the next time there's a round of decision-making processes that we go through. So there'll be some internal staff communication about that too.
Sian, in reading through the submissions, there was something that there was a consistent theme that came up. And I'm going to admit to not being able to, and I made some notes on this and now I can't find it. But it was the feedback was around occasions where council will not engage. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you talk to that, please?
Yes. I did mention it in response to the previous question. So there were most of the people that commented on that part of the draft policy raised a concern about a specific bullet point.
They did. Yes.
Which, and I'm completely paraphrasing here, which was to the effect that the council may not engage where it already has made some decisions around policies and plans, and the new decision being made is effectively just implementing those prior decisions. So, and on reflection, we thought that perhaps didn't really properly capture what was intended, which was to deal with things that are purely implementation. So again, you've already made a decision about we're going to do this thing. Then subsequent decisions that are made after that, which are purely implementing the council decision, the policy actually already covers that elsewhere in terms of describing what type of decisions need to be assessed under this policy. So it was a bit confusing in that it was a bit repetitive, but also quite clearly what the views were that came through in the feedback is it sent the wrong signal. It sent a signal that said that the council was not going to engage on things because it perhaps had already made up its mind, and that was not what that bullet point was intended to cover.
It was the
and
wording, I
was
think,
the
as
wording of it.
council
So,
has made up
yeah,
its mind.
Exactly, and that's that is not, I mean, the principles of the Local Government Act quite clearly state that the council is obliged to consider things with an open mind. So we definitely don't want to be sending any signals that that's not what we do. So that's why we've recommended that we remove that bullet point.
Okay,
It
so
didn't
that is-
serve its purpose, and it was also
That is
confusing.
reassuring.
Yeah.
Well done, thank you.
In the original policy? Yeah, so in the original policy, which is attachment B, I think, to the report, it's in section 8 of the original
Can you point us to
policy.
a page number on that?
Yep, I'll just have to scroll down to the attachment.
And the reason I'm raising this is because it was raised a number of times by different groups.
Yes.
And I know some of the groups are working together in aligning their feedback. This was different groups who had between them independently highlighted the same thing.
Exactly correct, Your
I
Worship.
do think we want to
Page
get that.
106, I think. Is
106.
Sorry, the original policy, sorry, Leslie, is on page 98 of the agenda packet. So page 5 of the previously draft policy. So it's under the heading number 8, when will the council not engage, and that's the 4th bullet point there.
So
We are
under
saying to remove that.
page 98, number 8.
That bullet point.
And I think that's important because what that says is it clearly sends a message to the people who have taken the trouble to make submissions that they've been heard, that council has responded to that, and that will give some reassurance, I think.
Just this one.
So under 8, it's the last bullet point. Council already has a clear direction on a strategy and has already made up its mind about an issue, and therefore does not have a sufficiently open mind. Not great wording.
Yes, Your Worship, exactly.
So that's been deleted.
As we're recommending that it's deleted, and that is not in the version of the policy that was attached to the report for adoption.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is that we've gone out for public submissions. A number of submissions have come back and said they've got concerns about that. We've heard them, we've responded. The version for adoption has had that removed. That makes me feel much more reassured. So thank you. Any further discussion? Terry, do you want to turn off?
No, that's,
all right.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder to receive this, please. And we're doing the whole recommendations. Thank you. Councillor Rodley, seconder, please. Oh, sorry. I promised to come back to you on that. Future generations.
And the wording has been done perfectly there. I think it's available for councillors to look at if they want to.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we do have Councillor Morrissey and Connell have received. So if you wouldn't mind moving the full resolution with the amendment.
I'm happy to do that, but you have it in front of you at the moment, Ari. Could I have it back?
No, we're about to share it.
Okay.
And thank you, Councillor Morrissey. I think it's a really important point. And I apologise for forgetting. Old age.
It's okay. If I hadn't been prodded on the right-hand side here, I'd have missed it too. Okay.
Just trying to blow it out.
Where is it? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so that's the piece I'd like to see included. I'd move that be included.
Okay. So are you happy to move that as part of being mover for the, for the whole? Okay.
Yes.
All right. A seconder, please.
For the chair, we did have Councillor Connell. So if you're happy with that amendment, would you like to? Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Connell, all those in favour? Aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Well done. Well done. Okay. How are we going for time?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Sian. Thank you, Leslie. Sorry. I feel a lunch break calling, but I think 12:30 we're going to stop for lunch.
Yeah, let's try and get some.
Okay, let's try and get some work done today.
The next item is destination code.
It is.
Is that enough time to want that topic to be hurried?
I think it is. And the reasons for me thinking it is will become apparent once we get to the item. So I'm sorry.
And we're here.
And we're here, and I'm going to propose we carry on and look at aiming for 12:30 for a lunch break. Okay. So, Lorna, Kirsten, thank you. Mitch, sitting in the sidelines.
Kia ora koutou. We'll take the reporters.
Sorry, before you carry on, was Alison here purely to respond to this? Should we make use of Alison while she's here?
Yeah, maybe we should.
So sorry to interrupt, just because I saw her disappearing out the door. Alison, do you want to just respond to this now that we've dragged you all the way over here?
So that's the conflict of interest matter.
Are we in public excluded?
No.
No. And we shouldn't be for this. This is a public interest. So all we're discussing.
If you're interested in receiving legal advice, we ought to do that in public excluded.
Okay, we'll take your guidance on that. But what it means is that when we get to the items that we need to discuss that councillors are concerned about conflict of interest, then we don't want to discuss them until after we've had your advice.
Could I propose another course of action? That Alison joins us for lunch and has a conversation with the affected councillors.
You happy to do that?
I'm happy to
Okay.
help.
So what we're doing here is we're making sure that councillors get really good advice about their concerns that have been raised about a potential conflict of interest across a number of spheres. If Alison's happy to give us that guidance through the lunch break, we'll take that offer. Thank you. And we'll be aiming for 12:30 for that. All right. Thank you so much. Sorry, Lorna.
It's
I
okay.
interrupted you very rudely.
No problem. So, as you said, we'll take the report as read. You did hear in the public forum from Destination Hauraki Coromandel's Chief Executive, Chair, John Sanford. When putting this report together, we have taken on board feedback throughout the last few months from elected members around the contract and the moving on of how Destination Hauraki Coromandel is managed and funded. It's discussions that the team's also been having with Hauraki District Council, because as you're aware, it's a joint agreement with another council. Is there anything you'd like to add, Kirsten?
No, I would just like to point out that Councillor Sinclair has kindly told me that I did the date is incorrect under the recommendation number 2. It should be 2024, not 2023. So I apologise for that.
So for discussion as well, we have the 3 options there, noting that John Sanford did have a bit of a presentation in the public forum about some other ways that things can be investigated, but we do have to put all the options on the table for discussion for councillors to make some decisions on.
Thank you, Lorna. So before we go to general discussion, I would just advise councillors that I've had an informal chat with Mayor Toby because they've got skin in the game here as well. And I think it's important that whatever decisions that we make align with Destination Hauraki Coromandel. We've got a presentation or a discussion with Mayor Toby and with Destination Hauraki Coromandel people on Thursday of this week. The proposal is for us to essentially maintain the status quo until 31st of June 2024 with an opportunity to review between now and then. Now, please correct me if I've got that summary wrong, if I've oversimplified it. But what I'm saying is that the opportunity to review is there. if we tried to do a major review of what's going on here today, I don't think we'll do it justice. So please let me know if I've oversimplified that. Is that a fair analysis?
I assume
More
you mean
clarification, I think June only has 30 days.
30th of June, thank you.
I'd just also like to point out, if there's negotiations, yes, we do have to have a contract agreed by 1st of July next year for some certainty for operations of Destination Hauraki Coromandel.
So, yeah, so between now and then, we've got the opportunity to do what is essentially going to be a fairly thorough review of the contract and the KPIs and what we're looking for from Destination Hauraki Coromandel. Aileen, please.
I think today the important decision of what goes into our LTP, and that looks to be the same amount regardless of the options. So I'm not sure that we actually need to make the decision today. If there's further information coming to us on Thursday, it may be this is a decision that could be deferred out till February, provided that the budget is intact and the LTP. Probably doesn't matter which option we end up with, and it's not an option we consult on. No. So that's my advice. But on the other hand, you're entitled to make the decision today as well.
Okay. So let's open this up for discussion. So I've got Martin, Terry, and then Delhi, please.
Yes, I just wanted to, clarify that, what we're looking at here is reviewing the funding split based on the ratio of visitor spend. At what point do we get or is the information available about visitor spend? Is that like a monthly type thing, or would it have to be a year on year? What are those numbers likely to be? And are we essentially talking about a handful of a few thousands of dollars rather than tens or hundreds of thousands if we get the ratio changed? It's only a handful of dollars, isn't it?
I think that's some of the things that are up for discussion, because at the moment we get market view, which is visitor spend, but it doesn't reflect the domestic and the international skew. And because we have a lot of what we would call visitor spend, which is our out of district ratepayers that come here and aren't here all the time, and they're included in that data. So that's why there needs to be some discussion with how that is actually calculated and how that's allocated.
So are you saying that an absentee ratepayer coming into the area and buying something at Luke's Kitchen with their new reduced speed limit would be counted as visitor spend, where in fact they've turned the Destination Hauraki Coromandel potentially has had nothing to do with them coming here?
It's quite a nuanced thing, and the way that the data is captured is a bit of a mystery, but they basically use some math to calculate where people normally spend their money versus where they occasionally spend their money as visitors. And so it will be difficult in the data to separate out exactly who are absentees, exactly who are domestic visitors. And it's probably part of a greater discussion around how you distinguish between them. But that could probably form also part of the KPIs, or how we determine the success measures for Destination Hauraki Coromandel.
I'll just add to that then. So that's why there needs to be a discussion with Hauraki about what visitor spend actually is calculated and what it actually represents. So that could be something around the funding split difference as well. That would be more advantageous in our favour.
So is it correct to say that that's probably why one of the disadvantages says that in fact it could skew more in HDC's favour, because as yet we haven't worked out how it might be calculated? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to go to Terry and then Delhi, and before we do that, I just want to try and bring this back to a simplified discussion if we can. We've got to decide today whether to maintain the status quo for LTP purposes, not to have the full review today. If we start to get into a detailed discussion today, then I think we're getting into two areas. First of all, we need more information. And secondly, this is quite a large discussion that I don't believe we've got enough information or time to do today. So this is an LTP status quo discussion. If we were to say no, then there are significant implications for saying no to this status quo continuing in the LTP. Very significant implications. I've got Terry Daly and then Peter, please.
Yes, so thanks for the report. Yes, I agree that a review is most probably a good thing, but I can see it sort of heading in this similar zone that it's in now. I had the good fortune yesterday to sit beside Renee Di Minucci, the Chief Executive for Tourism New Zealand. Spent a couple of hours with him talking about it. And he tells me that while they've had a tough 3 years with COVID and coming out with some weather events, that the numbers are getting back to the 220 numbers for visitors, and the outlook looks quite strong. So I think when you look at Destination Coromandel, which I was concerned about how they performed, they've come through a bit of a tough season. But if you go back to the pre-2020s, when there was activity on, they were become a pretty important platform for the Coromandel. So that was just some information back from him. So yeah, let's have the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry Daly, and then Peter, please.
So I respectfully have to disagree with you, Aileen, that option 2, which is bringing it in-house, would have cost. It actually says one of the advantages would be cost savings. So, and it depends what the format that is in and how many staff are employed, etc. But I am still concerned about the areas that DHC have got into and the fact that their draft management plan is still online talking about water and education facilities and God knows what else, which is not their core business. So my reason for breathing at the moment is finding ways to make the rates increase lower. And I don't know at this point that DHC is the best spend for our buck.
Thank you. Peter.
So I think what I'm hearing from what you said, Len, is we'll vote today to keep the tap running until June the 30th. And in that 6-month period.
Sorry, just to clarify, it would be beyond June the 30th. So it would be beyond 1st of July. So this is an LTP discussion about continued funding beyond the 1st of July as part of the LTP. So the funding is in place from now until the 30th of June.
Yep.
Have I got that right?
The budget, the actual quantum of money is in there. How that is delivered is something that is going to be investigated, but the quantum of how much we've got in there is budgeted within the LTP.
I think Peter's asking, are they funded between now and 1 July? And I think the answer is yes, they are funded.
And yes, they are. And in that period, there is going to be a review of what Destination Hauraki Coromandel actually does. Will we, as councillors, have the opportunity to input into the things that we think are important so that any new contract or whatever reflects the things that we think are important?
That's definitely my understanding. And is that the framework that your team has set up, Lorna?
That's correct. So that will be the discussions that you'll be having with the CE and the Mayor of Hauraki, and we'll be bringing that back in the report about how that may be delivered and the KPIs around that in the contract. So there'll be options.
So that'll come back to council with an opportunity for full council to discuss that in detail once we've got that information.
So, for instance, a concern that Delhi just raised, that's already captured somehow, or
the destination management plan, yes, it has been captured, and the destination management plan will be coming back for council to endorse in the new year as well. So that feedback has been passed on to them already.
And that whole program of work was also funded separately from council. So it was paid for separately.
Can I ask a question, and I'm not sure who to direct this to? If this council decides to include continued funding of Destination Hauraki Coromandel in the LTP, and then between now and 30th of June decides to reverse that decision, what are the implications?
I think the important thing today is there's budget in the LTP that goes out for consultation. I don't think it matters whether we're saying it's Destination Hauraki Coromandel or some other delivery model. For the purposes of the finances, it's there.
Okay.
And I think there is time to actually make those decisions. And I'd go a bit further and suggest if there are concerns around the table, but we actually put them forward to Destination Hauraki Coromandel in the next week or two and ask them to respond to those concerns. And we may want to take those concerns, because we don't want to do it, write a letter by committee, but potentially we go offline and draft up what we think that letter might be and send it.
And from what I heard from John Sanford this morning, they are open to those discussions. They are welcoming our input into, as Aileen says, right.
So could I just add that I'm very satisfied with that explanation about the funding. I would like to add that I think there are a lot of concerns around this table, and I would like to see not just an ad hoc submission of concerns, but we actually sit down at some point and workshop it somehow, for an hour or something, about what we as councillors would like to see.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Morrissey, then Rekka, then John Grant, please.
Yeah, totally support what you just said there, Peter. If we go with the first option, option one, the one thing I would just want clarification on was that's the status quo. The third bullet point down in disadvantages, council may need to fill destination management gaps. Why is that part of the status quo? I mean, what's going to happen there? Why are we going to be filling those gaps? What's going to change if it's the status quo?
Mitch, do you want to respond to that? You've got your finger hovering.
Yeah. So I guess, and it touches a little bit on, I think, what John was communicating earlier in his public talk, I guess, in that what we sell here is our environment and all the reasons people come to the Coromandel. And prior, it's hard to remember, but prior to COVID and prior to the storms, this district had real serious problems with over tourism and dealing with tourism impacts. And there was a problem with Freedom Campins. Everything was crowded. You couldn't get a park, and it was all around over tourism pressures. And that was the source of the destination management plan work, around thinking about how do we manage tourism as a destination so that we're still able to sell a good quality product that people can come and enjoy, and still meet the needs of a growing economy. So I guess that point is touching on the fact that if we're driving Destination Hauraki Coromandel to only focus on tourism, marketing and promotion, there is still another piece around managing the impacts of tourism that is left to be done.
To my mind, Mitch, that's all they should be doing. And I would have that problem of too many tourists again. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? Eh? But thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Councillor Morrissey. What I'm going to do is we'll go to Rekka and then John Grant, and then again try and simplify this to give us the space to gather the information and bring it back to council rather than have the discussion today. So thank you. Rekka?
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned because I know it was some months ago that there were a lot of concern expressed around this table, and we discussed having a review. We're here now, and we're going to say, actually, we're going to have that review in the new year. We've already got a full-on work program for staff in the new year, and we're putting a lot of pressure on that time frame. We've got a sort of drop dead date of end of June for delivering our LTP. So I went through and read all of this and gave it a lot of time, but really we're not going to do that work now. Am I right? Am I following this correctly? We're not going to have that conversation now. We're going to push it into the new year. So all you're looking for is in your executive summary, you've got sort of options 1, 2, and 3. You just want us to give you a steer on that?
I think the missing link, Reka, is that we want Destination Hauraki Coromandel to have the opportunity to come back to us with a response to our concerns, which is why Aileen suggested we write a letter.
But we expressed these concerns some months ago.
I'm not convinced that we did it in a structured, informal way. And part of they've heard some of those concerns, which is why we've got a meeting with them this week. But I don't think that we've been structured enough in expressing those concerns and being detailed enough about.
So can I get some assurance that this piece of work will be done and we will be given the time to address it properly in the new year or sometime between now and 30th of June? Because I've got some huge concerns, some of which Councillor Connell has already addressed around the destination management plan, which I still see. I think I've fed back about 4 times that the emphasis is wrong for the Mercury Bay community, and it's still in our order paper today. So I just want some confirmation and assurance that we're going to be given some space to do this work properly.
So you want a clear framework on which we can make firm decisions, and you want the.
I thought that's what we were going to do today, but clearly not. I just need some assurance from staff that we're going to do this, and we're not going to bump up till the end of June and say, sorry, we ran out of time.
I think it's a relevant point. I'm not convinced that we've got enough information yet.
Can I just add though that what we're trying to address today is just the funding, so that we've got money in the budget. So whoever delivers the service in whatever way, there is the budget to do that. So when we with the discussions with Destination Hauraki Coromandel, it's whether they deliver the service and how they deliver it. That can be a discussion, and then we'll bring that back to council for discussion. But even if it's just about how much money we've got to allocate to do this service, is what we're allocating in the LTP, is what we're signposting.
So you're looking at the funding model that's on page 110. These are the figures that you're wanting us to. These are the figures that are in there, and as I say, there's different splits. There's a current split at the moment, which is the 20 something 21 71. Yeah. So but that could be reduced if we, depending on how if we selected option 3. Yeah. So it could be reduced. That's right. Well, the status quo is this is the amount that will be allocated in the LTP. So whatever way this RTO may deliver the service, or if it's delivered in-house, we still need money to do that. And so that's what we're trying to get is a decision on the quantum of money.
Can I make a suggestion? There's 2 elements here. There's the funding, and then there's the service delivery. What I might suggest is that we ask the team over lunch to do us on item 2 in the recommendations, that we look at another or amendment to that recommendation that separates out the funding, so we can make a decision on the funding for LTP purposes. Then we separate out the service delivery, which deals with that separately, so that we've got time for us as a council to have a discussion, for Destination Hauraki Coromandel to respond, but we've done our job in terms of LTP responsibilities and we've signed that off. With who delivers it is, I'm not saying it's irrelevant, but that's a separate part of the discussion. We have an LTP responsibility to get this ticked off. So I'm going to suggest that we break for lunch. We ask the team to separate item 2 out into funding and service delivery, and when we come back we can make decisions on those separately. Martin.
I would support that, but I would also be interested in knowing that 79.21 versus 75.25, what the order of magnitude of the thing is, because I don't want staff to do a lot of work for a few $1,000s. And I'm sorry for jumping in.
John.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, I guess that a lot of what Reka has said, I actually was going to say myself, but I'm still very uncomfortable here that we are talking about a commitment into a long-term plan of an area that I think collectively around this table, there is a lot of people who are very uncomfortable with the current arrangements. And we do want to be very clear that there needs to be further conversation on this to be able to get the level of comfort right. And at the moment, the level of comfort isn't right. And I think that needs to be incorporated somehow into the resolution that we will agree to. So yes, we can confirm ongoing funding for a purpose, but it's on the understanding that a review and support from council will be provided as to what that would look like. And whatever the appropriate words are that sort of fit in around that process. And I appreciate, after reading these details, that there are very important links that exist in regard to other funding lines that come in to support this, and that is all part of this process that needs to be very carefully considered. So I think we're very reliant upon the staff to be able to put together this package. But I would like to make sure that whatever the resolution is, that we do have that review process and that we have it well before the June period where this would be looked at. I think that's sort of most of the areas. The other point, sorry, that I did want to make, and that is with great respect to our fellow council, that we are the lead on this, and we must remember that, you know, we're putting in some significant funding into this. So it's really important that we be comfortable and that we share that with them so that they can join us in that comfort.
They're aware of that. Toby, he raised that himself. So, yeah. Look, I think those are relevant points, and it really comes back to why I would like to see us get the wording right, but I don't really want to do it on the fly. Are you happy for us to take a lunch break, work on that, bring something back after lunch? Are you okay with that, Tim? You okay with that?
Could I just ask, in terms of a review, just a little bit more feedback around how you see that? Do you see that as us saying we're concerned about X, Y, and Z? DHC, can you address this, please? Do you see us having them here in a workshop to have an open discussion? Or do you see us going away and doing a tick box? They've done this, they haven't done this, and this is where it ends up. So just a little bit of feedback about how you'd actually like to see that review happen in the coming months.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to, and I've lost track of the order, so.
Well, let's put your hands up.
All right. So we'll go Terry, Reka, and Delly. Thank you.
No, I didn't have my.
And I apologise if I.
You got yeah. So I think the review should encompass staff input to the key outputs for Destination Hauraki Coromandel, but also where the funding models that they get that support it, because we don't see that funding, but it does support the district. And if that's if they bring in a lot of external funding that we can't find, well, that's a benefit I can see. And also, don't forget their role is part of the tourism package that that allows this place to function. And we look back a few years, and it was pretty impressive. So, yes, thank you.
Delly.
I would like that review to sort of start at the beginning in terms of what do we want this organisation to do to serve our district, and to build on that rather than just look at what they've already got and go, oh, I have a problem with that, or maybe you could do more of that. I'd actually like us to brainstorm what it is we want and what the KPIs would look like for that organisation. And it may be that it's a trimmed down organisation that is only marketing, and that the sustainability and those other things belong in other organisations, either ourselves or supporting those organisations. But I'd really like to have a free and frank breakdown of what we want from a promotional organisation and rebuild it from the ground up, and then have that conversation with DHC.
Thank you. Rika?
Yeah, and I would extend those conversations to include some, not all, but invited businesses, yeah, from within the wards.
Can I just raise one point? If you remember, we've had many discussions about unfunded mandates and how central government puts pressures on councils and agencies to do things that we may not be required to do. And destination management plans are something that are being required by central government of RTOs. So this is a mandated thing, and as I've expressed, that there will be opportunities where RTOs will be able to go for funding to central government for other parts of that activity to help support those particular parts of the program of work.
Thank you, Rika. Yeah.
But I going back to that point, and like I've said to folks within the organisation, I struggle to see anybody in Mercury Bay trying to establish an education precinct. The management plan here, I don't believe, particularly for the Mercury Bay ward, is right, and that feedback doesn't seem to be being heard.
I guess, to clarify though, they did come to the community board meeting and take that feedback on board, and then Hadley emailed the board chair and asked the board chair to coordinate that feedback, and that we haven't been able to make that happen yet. So like a really sincere and genuine effort has been made with the community board to get that information and include it in the destination management plan. So just acknowledge that that's a known gap, and an effort has been made. Is there a possibility that we could separate the discussion around the destination management plan from the any grievances or perception of performance issues with Destination Hauraki Coromandel and their marketing and promotion and other activities? Because the destination management plan is sort of a one-time thing, and John acknowledged this morning that it's not their job to go and do all that work. So just to help guide the review, is there just a very quick discussion on some of the other issues, I guess, or the feelings around their performance?
I think separating out the management plan would be very helpful, and that's where the things come unstuck, because that's all that Destination Hauraki Coromandel has been feeding us back. And be quite blunt, Mitch, I'm not interested in the district management plan. I just that's something that was mandated by government to that organisation. I go back to what I always say, it's about bums on seats. I want to know how they're getting people into the district, and that's about it. I don't want to know about this. There's other organisations that should be doing the work that's involved in that district management plan. And so to separate them out would actually be very helpful.
I think that's a fair point. So, I think the team now have a fairly good brief on what councillors want to discuss. Sorry, Rika, yeah.
So by way of feedback, some of the local businesses have fed back to me that the Coromandel Cure, great campaign, but came at the very, very, they're starting to ramp up into their busy time. And it was like, hey, can you put some packages together and come back and let us know? The lead times were too short. And when they were quiet in winter, that's the time they should have been sort of thinking. And so, it's really sort of put them up against the wall. They want to do something, but they feel like, it was announced only a handful of weeks ago. So, that sort of thing. It's actually just having a longer term, but more of a strategic view. And just in response, going back to the other plan, we fed back at the community board that we saw active recreation of cycling and walking as a common theme from across Mercury Bay, and highlighted that potentially could have been the items that sat in on the day that Destination Hauraki Coromandel came to speak to the community board. So I sort of thought that had been fed back. But.
Can we draw a line under this, please? Because I want to give staff the time during the lunch break to come back with a revised recommendations that we can move on So, yeah, Delhi?
Just aware that we are going to have a conversation about information centres as well, and of course business associations. And I think that if there is a tranche of money being put in this direction, that we need to bear in mind the conversation we've just had and the importance of our information centres and our business associations. So I just, you know, it's not a siloed lump of money that, you know, all the good things of the world are going to happen through HDC. We've got people doing excellent work on the ground in our community. So I just wanted to reinforce that.
Could I just quickly, Dean, very quickly, just
Last one, and then we'll let the
just
staff.
to about Coromandel Cure, I thought actually we bought in pretty well, sorry, but it's been well received in town, and a lot of the organisations have put money up for it, and they think it is a bit of a opportunity for people to connect to it. So it actually has connected well in our area. So just to put another spin on it.
Thank you. All right, so let's draw a line under this. The team have got some recommendations that they can work on over lunch, bring it back to us after lunch so that we've given them time to do that and get it right. And we'll make some decisions straight after that. So almost 5 to 1, let's go 1:30 for coming back from lunch, and we'll reconvene at 1:30. Thank you.